Hello everyone, and welcome to my new home. This is what it's going to look like for now. Sorry it's not the best visually, but when your camera is pointing directly outside, not a lot you can do, but I'm trying my best here. And it's been a while. It's been a long while since I filmed a proper video, but here we are again for the 6th edition of Rank Your Albums. Today we had 55 records, and we are not talking about all of them today because I'm basically just going to go until my camera battery disappears. So we'll see how far we can get in part 1, and then we'll finish the top part in a few days or whatever it's going to be. So here it is, guys. This is going to be a long thing we're about to do. So let's just get right into it. And first of all, I'm sorry to unleash the bloodthirst, but I don't know how I missed your comment saying Opeth Damnation. Seriously, I don't know how I missed it. I didn't even see it until I was going through reading them all again to grab the screenshots. But I'm sorry, bro. I would have told you to pick something else. But you're in luck because come October, Opeth is putting out an album. So you're not only going to hear my thoughts about Damnation, but you're going to hear my thoughts about all of the albums. So, sorry, bro, but I'll get you in a couple months, all right? And a special dishonorable mention goes to Android Wu Tuan with Natural Snow Building's Daughter of Darkness. Yeah, you're trying to pull a fast one on me with this fucking 7-hour whatever it was album. No, thank you. So, just want to get those two out of the way. And also a very special honorable mention to Callous Wings, Adrift Aimless, my new EP. Link in description. Come buy it. Come listen to it. Check it out. Thank you, YouTube Burlick, for buying it. Nasty Man, I know you bought the last one. You got... Yes, I don't want to call you out again, but you got to get this one because, frankly, it's even better than the first one. So, get at your boy, listen to it. I wrote the first 2 songs myself, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, all right, enough said. Let's get into last place. I'm sorry I'm going to break your heart, but someone's got to be in last, and unfortunately, today is going to be... Colin Kohl's with Sunk Lotos Between Birth and Death. Nah, man, this is a very specific type of metal that I just really can't stand. It's like, it reminds me so much of Limp Bizkit, except it's not nearly that bad, but it's in the same style, and I cannot stand this type of vocals. It aggravates me to my core. So, unfortunately, I had to come in last. But trust me, you're not the only record I did not like in this list. Because up next we have Rog Boys with Autechre's Confield. A really amazing, mind-bending album. Well, to me personally, I didn't hear anything amazing about this record at all. It's just kind of a whole lot of nothing. Like, it's just noise. Like, it's shit that I can do. And if it's shit that I can do, like, just go on a keyboard. Like, this is basically the entire record right here. Not really a fan of this one either. Just let's move on to the next one I did not like at all. Up next from Cowboys, we have Burzum's self-titled album. This black metal project has one person playing all instruments, the Count himself, Varg Vikernes, who is known to be the most notorious metal musician of all time, mainly for his crimes and controversial views, but you have to know to separate the music and the artist, and Varg makes some damn good music in my opinion. The creepy yet catchy riffs are the main reason why this is probably my most favorite black metal album of all time. I know you might not like the vocals, but I think it represents the grief-stricken music on the album in a good way. Well, we all know about good old Varg over here. If you don't, I think everyone pretty much knows about Varg, and like I know you already mentioned the vocals, and it's not even the vocals that's the main problem. It's just the problem with black metal as a whole genre is that everything just sounds like shit. And the fact that it's purposely made to sound like shit is just the craziest decision ever. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, black metal is such a frustrating genre because there are a lot of good ideas in them. Like, Wars, like, the riffs in War is pretty solid, but just, like, it just sounds terrible, and I do not like to listen to it. It's not fun. If it hurts me to listen to, I'm not going to listen to it. So that's why Burzum and pretty much every single other black metal album ever ends up in this category where I just can't do it. And along the exact same lines, we have the other Burzum album I got, Philosophem from Kabui. This is the extra credit one, because I didn't like that I only have 54 albums, because I had to knock the 7-hour one off the list. So I wanted to get back to 55, so I put out a poll or a post saying, hey, if you can guess how many albums I have left, I'll give you you can give me another one. And Kabui got here right on the money with 12. And when I saw it was another Burzum album, I saw, man, there is no way this is going to go well. And it did not, indeed. So anyway, Joke Society is a great musician. This album is split with two different sounds, if you will. One half of the album is straight on black metal, and the other half is dark, ambient, and atmospheric. The album might seem loud and noisy and chaotic, but that's the point. Varg purposely used cheap, broken equipment to give the most raw sound an album can achieve. Also, the 20-minute ambient track might seem boring, but trust me, close your eyes and let your mind drift on along with the song and the other songs as well. This is the last album he recorded before he went off to prison after murdering Mayhem's guitarist Euronymous. Varg is a broken man, and this album really shows. Hope you like it, man. See, right there, Varg purposely used cheap, broken equipment to give the most raw sound an album can achieve. I don't call it a raw sound. I call it a shit sound. Like, yeah, let me turn up the amp as loud as it can possibly go and then stick a Rock Band microphone right in front of it and record the whole album like that. Like, the album that my old band recorded in the fucking garage with the Rock Band microphone sounds better than every other black metal album ever. And that's really sad. Purposely sounds bad. And I even read that he re-recorded it because he was unhappy with how the first production sounded. If this is the one that made the cut, I don't even want to hear what the first take sounded like, because holy shit. Also, in Jesus Todd, there is no fucking way this dude is playing double bass for 7 minutes straight. There is not a single fucking chance that Varg is out here playing double bass for 7 minutes straight. Not a chance. And once again, just like the debut, it could be good. It could have been good if it wasn't physically painful to listen to. I'll not to mention every song is the exact same riff played for like 7+ minutes. Because I think this was the longest album I had. Actually there was one more. One more longer. It was like the second longest album I had. And there was like 5 riffs in the whole thing. So, and like you mentioned, the ambient track is by far the best one out of both these albums. That's the only reason it's above the debut, is because the ambient track didn't make me want to die. So that one's above the self-titled. But at least this was your extra credit one. I don't know what the other album you gave me, but I'm sure it's a lot better than this one. And up next from Music Junkie, we have The Prodigy with Invaders Must Die. I feel since you enjoyed Pendulum, one of my favorite bands, you might enjoy this as well. And we have our first question. So the question is, what are the genres you have the hardest time getting into? What do we just talk about? Black metal. Number one. Not that I can't get into it, it's just I probably won't ever get into it, period. Other ones, honestly, kind of death metal, because a lot of it sounds the same, but there are a few death metal records on this list, and they were pretty good. It's just kind of hard to distinguish a band from another. Another one we have, like, I'm not even going to include the bad genres like country, because that's just all trash. Dubstep is just all trash. Some other, like R&B, I have The Weeknd, but that's about it. Everything else, a lot of it is just kind of not good, and it's hard to find other artists in that genre to really latch onto. So I would say those are the hardest genres. And as far as the album, it was a good attempt. I will say it's a good attempt, because I know I did mention Pendulum way back on the first Ranker albums, actually. So good catch on that one. And I see where you're going with, but the main difference between Pendulum and this is that Pendulum has, one, a really good vocalist, and two, really catchy melodies. And even on that record, Immersion, there's a lot of it that I straight up hate. Like we just mentioned, like the dubstep tracks. But moving, like, I appreciate the effort, and I want people to continue to try to push different stuff like this. Just think Witchcraft, man. Think Island Part 1. Think, what was it? Watercolor. The one with Steven Wilson on it. The In Flames one. I forget what they're called already. Self versus Self. Like, think those tracks to make recommendations in the future. Because this one, it's just like the vocals are very repetitive, and they're like super shouty, and there's a lot of effects on them, and that doesn't sound too great. Like the drums, they sound super programmed and super fake. I don't know if they are, but it just sounds like that. It's just like way too electronic, and just not a very enjoyable album for me. Through here like zombie beings always doing. And we've made it to the top 50. Kicking it off, we have from Gary Nicholton, Last Epic by ACT. And straight up, it's the vocalist. Like, very much another Thank You Scientist case where everything is pretty solid, but the vocalist just makes me want to just, like, assassinate them. Yeah, everything else, like, it could be decent, but every single one of these albums has just had a really bad vocalist so far, and yeah, this is no exception. I don't like it. And up next from Like a Guy, we have Car Seat Headrest we have Teens in Denial by Car Seat Headrest. I've been a fan for a couple months, haven't commented yet. Some of my personal favorite indie rock type music. I'm interested to see what you think of it. It's way too long, man. Holy God. I think it was like over an hour long. And the vocals are just like super whiny. And then you have that 11-minute track. I don't remember which one it is, but I listened to a lot of these with my band, and all of us were like, hell no. Pretty much like ACT, a lot of it could be decent, but it's just the annoying vocalist. I was told to work hard, so I tried. Up next from George the Greek Fan, we have Uarts and the Two Dragons with The Hills Behind the Hills. I'm sure you tried to give me something else, judging by that screenshot. And I'm sure whatever you tried to give me first time was probably better. Because, yeah, this thing, like, the entire record really relies on the vocalist. And he just can't carry this thing by himself. He's not terrible, but there's not a lot else going on to, like, latch onto. It just kind of sounds like house acoustic music that really doesn't do a whole lot interesting. And yeah, it's just very vocal heavy, and I just do not care for the vocals at all. And from Yumo, we have Better Oblivion Community Center, their self-titled album, and I already lost a bar of battery. Oh my God, this is going to be like 3 parts at this rate. So let's get this kicking. I was just kind of bored listening to this album, not gonna lie. Just kind of reminds me of a band I got a couple editions ago called Shovels and Rope, except not as interesting, and even I wasn't a big fan of them either. So, yeah. As far as duos go, I'll probably just stick with like Tenacious D or Origami Angel. I can't stick with Tenacious D now because they're fucking whatever happened to them. I'll just go with my Origami Angel Gami Gang. But yeah, it's just kind of whatever. And up next, from Within the Thinking Well, we have Vena Sera by Chevelle. I don't know who Mike 7976 is, but I don't know if that was your other channel name. I don't know, but whatever. We have this Chevelle band. Okay, objectively, it whole thing reminds me kind of that Alter Bridge record. I also got at some point the Metalingus band. Like, there's some solid riffs, there's some decent vocals. It's heavy, but it never gets too heavy. I like the Fad was pretty cool. However, for strictly personal reasons, I will not listen to this band ever again. I'm not going to get into it, but a certain someone I once knew really liked this band, and every time I hear this band, I think about that shit, and I don't want to think about that shit. So, objectively, I would have put it higher if it was anyone else. It would be at least a couple spots higher. But because it's Chevelle, it's going down here. It's nothing personal for you, but it's personal for me. You should have seen the curse it flew right by you. And up next from Rexton, we have Deloused in the Comatorium by the Mars Volta. Been watching since the Rush ranking. That was a while ago, man. Love your channel. Anywho, this is some awesome 21st century prog stuff. Hope you enjoy. Question: are there any band rankings you've done that you regretted doing for whatever reason? And the only one that comes to mind is probably Jethro Tull. I probably should not have done that band because I really never listened to them. And even when I did that ranking, that was only my second time ever through them, and the first time was like so many years before that. So I really had no idea what I was talking about, to be frank. And like every single week, I get some jerk off coming in the comments trying to talk shit because I had Benefit or like Minstrel in the Gallery super low, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," because obviously they do, right? And yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, not one of my better moments. But as far as Mars Volta goes, here's a little fun fact. Many years ago, I tried to put together my list of the 10 worst albums I ever heard. And this album was number 10. And honestly, the only reason for that is because even like the last 3, like I can only think of 7 bad albums. So for the last 3, I really had to stretch like what else can I put in here? And I just kind of threw them in here. And all these years later, to be honest, I still don't care for it. Like, I wouldn't call it one of the worst anymore, like, not by a wide margin. But I just don't care about it because, can you guess why? Is it A, the production, B, the vocals, C, the vocals, or D, of course it's the vocals, man. He's just kind of annoying. And it's just kind of... like, the big issue with whenever I get, like, these prog albums that are always, like, over an hour long, there's just, like, so much going on, and it would take so many listens to even comprehend, like, one of the tracks, let alone an hour of them. So, yeah, it's not awful, but another one of those albums that I think is highly overrated. And now from All Media Reviews Podcast, we have The Perfect Element by Pain of Salvation. Apparently this man's been doing what I do for 10 plus years, and he's only at 300 subs. Everyone go check out I already forgot. Everyone go check out All Media Reviews Podcast, because, oh my god, if I was doing this for 10 years and I was only at 300 subs, I wouldn't still be here, man. Let me tell you what. Yeah, and as far as Pain of Salvation goes, this is just one of those bands that I just I never really got into, because there were kind of there's a few of these bands, like Leprous is another one I can think of off the top of my head, where they're kind of like super, they're pretty big in the prog community, but I never really got it. Yes, this was the longest record I heard on this whole list, and I definitely felt it. Yeah, like I said, it just really doesn't do it much for me, especially in the track A Morning on Earth. I just feel like it kind of meanders, and there's like this big giant concept going on too. A lot of really high vocals, which can get annoying. And yeah, it's just kind of just okay. Like all these albums are here are like okay to not great. They're just kind of whatever. Up next, this is Kabui's Return. So yeah, a little better than the Burzum one, but more black metal. For this time we have Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk by Emperor. Saw your video, Rick and Hassan, and I don't know if you heard any Emperor albums, so this is probably my favorite black metal album ever. I know at first you probably can't hear shit, but that's kind of the point of black metal. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. Why is that the point and not making like good sounding stuff, you know? My favorite songs are Whatever That Is and With Strength I Burn. Hope you enjoy this album. And I even had a guy come in on the Hassan video or somewhere. They're like, how do you not know Emperor if you like Hassan? It's because his solo shit actually sounds good. That's why. And his clean voice is really good. I like his cleans better, frankly. Let's take a listen to this section in the track Acclamation of Bonds. Bro, that's dead ass For Whom the Bell Tolls right there. That's all that is. And like, I like The Wanderer and any part that wasn't just full on blasting. And it's like, I know Emperor is like one of the top dogs, and even the best black metal just isn't for me. And I even have one of their albums, Equilibrium. I have it. I was like, shit, I like Hassan. I must like this one, but I don't know at this point. Once again, just like you said, it's just too hokey production. It doesn't sound good, so I don't want to listen to it. And I hope hopefully that makes sense. And from Mr. Hitech, we have Ulver with Shadows of the Sun. Congrats on 1K, you deserve it, thank you. I hope you enjoy my pick. I really like watching your videos and the honest opinions for all this music. Well, that's how it goes. We don't lie here. What's the point of lying, right? And to be honest, this album sure is a whole lot of droning, man. There's a whole lot of drone. Hardly any of it is anything but drone and some vocals. Like, it started off cool and unique, really, but like by the halfway point I was like, okay, well, this is pretty much how the rest of the album is going to be. But definitely points for uniqueness. Like, I didn't hate my time with it, which is why it's above a lot of these, but yeah, we're inching our way up into like, these were good, or maybe not good, but like these were okay. Like, I think we're past the point of disliking albums now. And up next from RVD MC 232, we have Blackstone Cherry by Blackstone Cherry. And yeah, I mean, it's really just average rock, you know? Like, nothing harmful, nothing great. And once again, like, whatever album that was, shit. Also kind of like Chevelle, where this one also reminded me of the Alter Bridge, but not the music, but just how I felt about it. Like, yeah, that was like pretty okay rock metal, but Alter Bridge had that one song I really liked, and this one doesn't really have that. I don't have any favorite songs on this album, but yeah, right smack dab, like, this is the middle of the road right here. Boom. Okay, up next we have from Haley's classic rock block, we have Way Out West by Marty Stewart and his fabulous super laxative. Oh my god. Marty Stewart and his fabulous super I can't even say this word, bro. Probably because we around here we call him Farty Stewart and his fabulous super laxatives. I think it's kind of funny. She's in the other room, so I don't want to hear where this album is. It's number 40, and she predicted it was going to be number 37. So it's pretty good guess, right? Only 3 off. It's pretty good, but I know you're not super big on country, but they've also got a bit of rock edge to them. Happy listening. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the best parts were just like the interludes in between, because there were like these cool instrumental, like twangy things in between all the basic ass country bullshit where every song sounds the exact same. But yeah, it was okay. And from Wocket Rex, we have Incubus's Science. Question: what was your favorite video to work on? I don't think you will love this album or anything, but it will be interesting hearing your opinion on that one. Hope you reach 2K subs before 2025. I highly doubt that. It took me 4 years to get to 1,000, so unless something really takes off, not so sure about that. But yeah, Incubus's Science. Okay, first of all, favorite video to work on. Honestly, this might sound crazy, but it was probably the Lulu reaction tier list one. Only because it is kind of fun once in a while to suffer for the sake of enjoyment. And if you watch that video all the way through, you can just watch me start to lose my mind by the end of it. And yeah, and a lot of the Metallica videos were a lot of fun. Like I like covering all the songs and all that stuff, especially the Injustice for All one, where I was just like sleeping with the bass. Like that was kind of funny, right? At least I hope it was. But yeah, those are fun to make. And as far as Incubus's Science goes, man, the second I heard those record scratches, I was like, oh, please kill me. And it's so frustrating because without them and maybe a little bit better vocals, this could be pretty lit. Okay, like Glass is a perfect example. It slays pretty hard except for that stupid record bullshit. So, yeah, it could have been great. It could have been great. But a few too many annoying things. Gamma's Masters, we have Suffocations Pierced from Within. Many consider this album to be the pinnacle of brutal technical death metal. Frank Mullen's vocals are insane. He literally sounds like a prehistoric monster. Terrence Hobbs does a great riff work and solos, and Chris Richards' bass work is outstanding. Sadly, this album doesn't have the great Mike Smith drumming on it. If you want to hear great drumming of his, I recommend listening to the song that one from their debut. This is their longest album discography, and it's filled with great material. Also, Synthia Revive is a re-recorded song from the... Oh, yeah, right. I did see that. Honestly, I think a lot of death metal vocalists sound like prehistoric monsters. Like, I don't think that's a super unique thing. That's just kind of how they all sound somehow. And yeah, it was solid. It's solid, but maybe it was just the time I heard this, but we have a couple death metal records on this list, and I think this is the last one I got to. So by the time I got to this one, I was just like, all right, man, well, I get it. Like I said earlier, with hardest genres to get into with death metal, it's because a lot of things just like kind of, it's hard to distinguish one band from another, basically. But yeah, Suspended in Tribulation had the most moments I was interested in. But yeah, like I said, compared just on a ranking list, I have to compare it to everything else. It's not as much of my speed, but the other ones sure were. And from Scumbag Productions, we got Paramore's Brand New Eyes, one of the best pop punk albums ever made. I recommend seeking out Seeking out the version with decode at the end. That song is a banger too. See, that's the problem, because I always read these like now for the first time. I see what albums you guys give me, and I'm like, okay, write it down. And then this is the first time I actually read this shit, so I don't know if the version I heard had that song, but I guess I'll have to check it out. Question: what is your favorite cover song? Okay, there's a lot of cover songs. And straight up, it could be most of anything by the Steven Seagals, because a lot of, like, especially with like their version of Seek and Destroy, I like so much better than the original. Everyone knows the Thunderstruck one; that one bangs. The Trooper one is so damn good. They just have a lot of great covers. But I think with this kind of question, you have to think about like the covers that are just better in every way over the original. Right off we got Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix. I don't even think I've ever heard, like, maybe I heard it, but like the original version, just like whatever. Another cover song that is better than the original in every way is Seal with Fly Like an Eagle. Totally destroyed the Steve Miller version. I don't actually think she can hear me with that one. Metallica's Turn the Page, another great cover. Astronomy. Metallica does a lot of great covers, man. Many of this because I grew up with them. But yeah, those are just some of them. Hurt, Johnny Cash is another good one. The Beatle ones, Twist and Shout. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. I don't know if I have a number one favorite, but those are some of them. Okay, so for Paramore, unfortunately, I thought every goddamn song sounded the exact same. Until Misguided Ghosts. Misguided Ghosts was a pretty decent track, but yeah, music that's just kind of like happy go time. It kind of like drains me a little bit just because it's just, I don't know what this says about my character, but too much positivity just really makes me upset. If it's too happy, I get sad. Too much happiness equals madness. All right. And up next from Cockadoodle Planet, we have Fishmans with The Long Season. Probably my favorite post-rock music of all time. Check out Cal Swing, Adrift Aimless, available now in every region. A really awesome album from my favorite Japanese artist. Congrats on 1K. What is your favorite album of 2024 so far? Whoa, dude, spoilers. We're going to talk about all of them at the end of the year. You want me to give away what my favorite is already? But there's two of them. There's two of them that are pretty good. We have Judas Priest, British Steel. Brand new album for Judas Priest. Check it out. Invincible Shield, and then actually, when I first heard this album, I was like, yeah, it was pretty okay. But then I heard the Dryland live by the Huntsman. They played the whole thing live, and honestly, that's a pretty good contender now. Because holy shit, it truly sometimes takes hearing something live to truly appreciate it. But yeah, one of those two are in the front runners right now. But yeah, we still have a couple months left. Hopefully something comes out. Opeth. Hopefully you come out and beat some ass. I don't know anything else that's coming out right now. But yeah, we'll see. And for the Fishmans, yeah, it's certainly different. There's a lot of different vibes on it. Like, my favorite tracks were the first and last one. There was that key thing that was going on the entire time. Or not the entire time, but for a lot of it. And I liked it. And I'm really glad it wasn't for the whole song. But like, I like the melody and everything else happening around it. And then in the middle, there's a lot of weird shit. Like, there was this crazy drum solo for a lot of it, and I'm already flashing red? No fucking way, dude. Obviously, I don't remember, but I wrote a lot of weird shit, like the drum solo for a bunch of it, and then the ba-ba ba thing. I hope you know what I'm talking about, because I sure don't. But it's just weird. There's a lot of weird things in the middle. And up next, we have the second Incubus album in this list with Make Yourself from Christian E. Gaines. Huh, that name sounds pretty familiar. I wonder if I know who they are. Okay, I'll give you a pass, alright? YouTube Burlick, I know this is you, bro. I'm only giving you a pass because by the time I even figured out it was you, I already heard this album. So, please, next time, only give me one album on one account. I'll give you a pass because, you know, you reviewed our EP and you got some more listens for us. So you're good dude. But this is your I'll let it slide this time. But I'm gonna check out every single account for the next one and make sure there's only one of you. Okay, so it's I didn't even read your thing. The hell's wrong with me? I've never been into music that much, but this album, especially Drive and Part of Me, are amazing songs. The vocals are amazing too. And I will say, yeah, it's definitely a lot better than the Science one. I wouldn't call it great, but that's also because I feel this one's a whole lot more safe than the last one. Like, there's less heaviness, there's less experimental stuff, there's less turntable shit, so that's good. So yeah, it's stripping away all of the uniqueness and just kind of like, this feels like maybe it's their their fucking commercial album or whatever. Like, this is their version of the Black Album or whatever, you know? And up next, we finally have Inhuman Rampage by Dragon Force from Jonathan Black, who has been trying to get me to listen to this album since the last time. Man was really going to ham for it. And yeah, so your crusade has finally paid off. And what did I think? Oh, the whole reason I didn't want to listen to it last time was because I was like, that's just going to be Through the Fire and Flames for like 50 minutes. And I was not wrong. This thing is Through the Fire and Flames for 50 minutes straight. But except we had Storming the Burning Fields, which had this weird electro thing going on. That was at least different. But yeah, everything else was just Dragon Force core or power metal core, you know. Power metal, that's another one. That's another genre that's hard to get into because everything is just so, again, so similar to each other that it's difficult to really find what distinguishes this power metal band from this one. I don't really know because I don't really listen to it because everything is swords and fields and dragons and we gotta get the fucking emerald obsidian from the emerald dragon and we gotta Vikings and shit like that. So yeah, Dragon Force, it's fine, but I'll just honestly just stick through the Fire and Flames. And from James Cross, we have Angra's Temple of Shadows, and he asks, "What is my favorite food?" I don't know if you're asking like specific things or like culturally, like Italian or Mexican food, all that stuff. I don't know, but the one specific thing that's my favorite thing ever are Italian beef sandwiches. I fucking love that shit. And every single one, you gotta take the whole bun and submerge that shit, bro. That shit's gotta be soaking, dripping wet. Otherwise, I don't fucking want it. You slap some hot peppers on there or some mozzarella cheese. Yo, that shit is amazing. So probably that. And then, yeah, this was the other power metal. Also, this was the, I forgot to mention, Dragon Force was the first album I listened to for this video, and this one is the last. So I bookended this whole journey with two power metal albums, and they're side by side because once again, power metal is just such a goofy genre that is just obnoxious. But this one definitely was a little better because we have that instrumental break in Angels and Demons went so hard. Temple of Hate was also pretty dope. It at least has more variety than Dragon Force. You know, like Shadowhunter had that whole acoustic thing in the intro. You know, Dragon Force was just like such a one mode the entire time. At least I think it was, because like I said, that was the first album, and that was like 2 months ago already. So hard to remember that far back. But yeah, I think it's pretty solid. All right, let's try to get 2 more before my camera dies. First up, we have Windrose Winter Saga from my good old friend Jason. Much like Dragon Force being one song for 50 minutes, this one is also one song for 50 minutes. It's fun for maybe like 20 minutes, but that's about it. Goofy, fun lyrics that straight up, it makes me want to play like God of War or Skyrim or some shit like that. I guess their big song, Diggy Diggy Hole, is just like so goofy, like dwarves, and I don't know, man, just like Viking core and like all this crazy fantasy stuff. Like that stuff has never really been what I'm super into, but I guess sometimes there's exceptions, like, you know, God of War was really good. I guess I'd rather play a fantasy game than listen to a fantasy album. But yeah, still pretty solid. Thank you, brother. And the final one for part 1, we are going to have Atheist Piece of Time from Fight and Fill. I know from your other rings you don't enjoy death metal too much, but I know you like this one. This is classic prog death album that influenced countless musicians. One big reason why is one of my favorite albums is the phenomenal bass playing by Roger Patterson, who is no longer with us. Okay, so not to spoil anything, but obviously there's an album by Carcass that I listened to, which is going to be in the next one, and I heard this one right after that one, and they're both death metal. And unfortunately for this album, I like the Carcass one way more, because this one is just more along the lines of that standard death metal. You know, like, it's fine, it does its job, but I'm not gonna lose my mind over it, really. And that's gonna do it for part 1. Tune in to part 2. We take a look at the top 30 albums, and yeah, should be a fun time. Thank you, everyone, once again for 1,000 subs. We already got like 33 more. So we're already on the road to the next one. It's been a long time. I'm approaching 5 years in a couple months. So here's to 5 more doing whatever the hell else I'm going to do. I'll see you in a few days.